I'm of Riley, and I saw The Handmaid's Tale Season 1, Episode 4, Some Latin Phrase. It is directed by Mike Barker, written by Leela Gerstein. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode picks off where this last episode left off. She's in the room, she's been banished. She notices something engraved in the wall in the closet, so she's laying on the closet. She's chilling. And the inner monologue is just so comically depressing. She reads it, she's like, what is this? The housekeeper, Martha, comes in, asks, why are you on the floor? She'd be like, oh, I fainted. Offred, you're being suspected of being sick now. And you thought that you would lie about being sick so you could be out in the rain? I also love how this episode is like, oh, this is so terrible. I hate being in solitude. Oh man, 2 hours of being in fresh rain with flowers. But the previous 3 episodes have shown her just walking about and then complete neglect of being outside. I get that she's banished, but this episode doesn't establish a very good timetable. What I would do, if I want to establish time, I would have a lot of day and night shots of her going more and more insane, being in this secluded room, not talking to anybody. Maybe I could show it by many meals that she gets, or the days and nights of her and being in the bed, all that fun jazz. Or you could have a bunch of jump cuts just being in the room, and she's doing whatever. She's doing like push-ups, or she's just jumping, she's doing whatever. You could do that, anything to get a sense of time, but this episode doesn't establish that at all. And it doesn't make any attempt to during this entire episode. So by the end of this episode, I'm left confused. How long was this? The last episode doesn't say, oh, this is the last day of the ceremony, so you're going to be locked in here for a month. So it's either she was locked here for a month until her next fertile window, or it was for a few days. And it's shown that the ceremony happens within like 5 days at like a set clock time. Speaking of the ceremony, it's a highly inefficient system. You have to arrive in a specific order to the room in order to have sex and intercourse. And by the time that the commander's there, he's not even hard, he's not even turned on. It's not sexy at all. No wonder you can't get anyone pregnant. You're allowing the least pleasurable thing ever to be the way you procreate. So humans are now procreating like pandas because of this. It'd be better if there was like a 5-day orgy where you got the commanders, they're just having sex with all the handmaids they can get, and then of course the partners are there. That'd be much more efficient as a fertility system. This society loves making babies, but doesn't do anything to help out the baby-making process, like whatsoever. Back to Offred though. She lied about being sick. Oh, I fainted. I got lightheaded, and then I just was on the floor, and I guess I passed out. So of course the housemaid goes to the commander and the commander's wife. The commander reacts when hearing, oh, she fainted. He's like, what? But the way that the wife reacts is like, oh, no, she's lying. Which makes me think, oh, every woman in this society hates each other. This is a society based on snitching on everybody, ratting people out, and there's no trust at all, anywhere. So of course, instead of walking through the rain, by the way, it's downpouring rain, she instead gets a ride to the hospital. She's acting like she's so oppressed, but this is the logical thing to do. If you have a handmaid who says, oh, I fainted in the closet, then you would take them to the hospital and deny any attempt to walk through the rain where you could get soaking wet and get more sick. Oh, but I can't do anything I want, so that means I'm being oppressed. Concern does not equal oppression. Do women not understand this? This episode makes me think, what's the caste system like? It's also revealed that there is a class above the handmaids, and that's the aunts. But they're below the wives. Keep that aunt thing in mind. There's a lot of flashbacks. We have Offred is getting the teaching of how to be a handmaid, and she's got her friend there. I forgot the friend's name. But later on, the friend, you know what the friend does? They're like, oh, we can escape. The friend dresses up like an aunt, has aunt credential status, which, by the way, it's established that in this society that the aunts are above the guards. If this is such an oppressive society, why are women considered higher in social status than blue-collar workers? Or not even that. What would you call like a security guard? They're higher than that. The aunts are higher than security guards. You can just flash a badge and take a handmaid. Oh, we're going. And they go down to the train station. We got the freaking handmaid. Offred is just standing there. And her friend is going up to some guards. Hey, where's the train to Boston? Completely unnecessary. You're at the train station. Just find anywhere. Just find a train to get on and then just ride it. If you're trying to escape, who cares if it's Boston? And the show doesn't do a very good job explaining why they're so interested in going to Boston. Offred's standing there. When the guard's coming downstairs right behind her, walking down, sees her, walks up to her, says, hey, you shouldn't be here alone. Who you with, right? Is concerned for her. Instead of, hey, I have this ID that I established that I show to guards and then they just go with it. Instead of doing that, they look at each other from 15 feet away. They're looking mournfully. Nobody is doing any pointing. Offred's not pointing to the aunt. Oh, I'm with her, because they ask who she's with. And the train was barely coming into the station. She could have just fast walked. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's my passport. Here's my credentials, whatever. Here you go, guards. Oh, yeah, she's with me. And then take her, and then boom, right? They can't make them super fast. You can't make those subways super duper fast because that's really dangerous. But instead, she gets onto the train while Offred gets escorted away. So lame. I'm like, why are you so meek? Even earlier within this episode, it's established that you're not that meek. It's also another flashback that you and your friend like kidnapped this woman and you're doing like some out of character speak, very aggressive. I've never seen her say anything this aggressive before. She kidnapped this woman. She kidnapped this person, and she's being incredibly aggressive towards this person, which I haven't seen at all. Why am I believing she wouldn't have just said, hey, that's the person I'm with? Terrible world building. I was watching the show and I was thinking the entire time, pausing, having to digest every single trash idea that this episode provides. She's choosing to be oppressed. There's the obvious time where she could have clearly escaped. I would have been able to get out of that situation. Not to mention, there's no chance that I would have gone into this situation in the first place. This society happens when you let a woman in charge. Because all the women hate each other. And the women in charge make rules so the younger women who are more fertile than the ones in charge are punished. We get introduced to a couple modes of punishment. Of course, we got the whipping of the feet. She got formally punished by a bitter old hag, the Melanie Mac types, of course. And this bitter old hag is taking pleasure. She's so happy to be doing this. Of course, the commander is asking her to play Scrabble again, and they have a real, quote, heart-to-heart conversation, the closest you can get to heart-to-heart conversation. I was thinking the entire time that they were talking, I was like, I feel like you're going to get killed, you're going to get punished for talking to him in this way. He is asking for a challenge. Oh no, I gotta end this review soon. I think he saw me. Okay, alright. I hope he doesn't call the eyes. I'm under his eye, by the way. Anyway, so it seems like he wants an intellectual challenge and she beats him in Scrabble or whatever, but this is after the failed attempt to have sex. And it's also interesting that nobody's enjoying this. By the fourth episode, I'm still asking myself, who voted for this? During this game of Scrabble, she asks, oh, can you translate this thing that I saw in Latin? And I also, by the way, that while you're asking me to grab a dictionary, I noticed that you have a Latin alphabet. Oh yeah, I learned when I was 12 years old, blah, 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 blah. It was a specific thing that I wrote down in there, blah, 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 blah. It was the same thing that was scratched on the wall. And I was like, geez, this is really risky, but also... So it's implied that Offred's friend was in that same room, was also in the same room playing Scrabble with him, to the point where she saw that little thing in the book written down and then she scribed it perfectly from memory, I guess. Okay. And it's not even catchy, whatever. It's supposed to be like something roughly translated to "don't let the system grind you down." A weird psychotic angle where she's like, "Oh yeah, you like me being nice and happy, right? Or feeling comfortable, rather." And he's like, "Yeah, it would be a shame if I were to kill myself." She really says that. And then the episode ends with her walking out with all the handmaids, and then like, it's not even said in a cool way. The line's not even said in a cool way. It's said in this same narrator. Every time she narrates, she says stuff in such a whispery way. She's like, "Oh yeah, yes, I'm so oppressed. Oh, don't get me wrong, the actress is a really good actress. She's I believe this character, but the writing of the show is so bad and the world building's kind of whatever. It's just so cheesy. Latin phrase in this way, bitch." She says it like that. I'm like, Latin sounds cool when you scream it, girl. Come on. Ugh. I had to pause this episode so many times because of how many terrible world building aspects there are. We're even at a point where they say that they're afraid of Canada. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. How could you be afraid of Canada? Oh, that's so funny. Oh boy. It's just this new society are such complete pussies. That's what this society is just establishing. This won't happen. This is absolutely not Trump's America. If you were to enact a law similar to The Handmaid's Tale, the closest would be everybody on the beach has to wear bikinis. That's the closest thing. That's the closest thing that you could get. And that's more revealing. That's not less revealing. Oh my god. This episode sucks. Dark, grim. I was noticing that it's just so repetitive, the lighting used, and it's just so dark and grim. Although the end scene is kind of bright-ish. She has hope, brighter than the other scenes, so that's nice. Oh god. If you've ever wanted to watch The Handmaid's Tale, don't. Instead watch these reviews. If you don't care about The Handmaid's Tale, just watch these reviews anyway. I have to warn you about The Handmaid's Tale. All the women in the world be like, "Oh, this is gonna happen." It's not. It's literally fiction. It's not even good fiction, okay? So I don't like this at all. This episode is worse than the last one. I'm gonna have to give it's a solid, I don't know what I gave the last one, but this one was like a 4.7 out of 10. If you like this, if you watch another on the platform you like, at $20 Dinos at patreon.com/ASEPresents for one movie review per 1 month. If I haven't reviewed it on the channel, there's a chance I haven't even seen it at all, so get those Patreon requests in. And also the ultimate goal is to become an expert reviewer. That's 5,000 reviews, preferably daily. So if you want to support the daily grindiness, go to autisticboobs.com. It really helps out. And until next time, I'm mintsalad sauce. You'll tear my sour croutons and bacon bits. Oh my god. I want to find a man to oppress me. I watched this episode, I was like, wow, this is so poorly written. I want to get beat now. Goodbye.